2021, the stories of hope, resilience, and inspiration during the pandemic was something that kept all of us believing we'll get through this tough time together. When the world was switching online, most of the role played by our education was done through our educators. Our educators who don't get time for themselves look after us. But what happened with one such educator that gave her a life-changing experience? Today, I have with me a school counselor who converts people's stories into tiny tales to inspire other people in a well-known community known as Tribes of Women. First of all, I would like to welcome you, Nandini ji, for taking out time and joining us for a brand new episode of Changemakers of Mentogram. To start off, let's get to know about you and how you joined Tribes of Women.
So basically, I am a school counselor. I have been working in a school for the last 17 and a half years. And I have seen many children and parents and teachers who have shared the most wonderful narratives and experiences with me. Now, for me, I get to see the world from the lens of the child, their parents, and their teachers. And this has been my journey of offering them support and offering them guidance whenever they are facing challenges. And I never thought that I, being a counselor, would actually reach a point when I would, start looking out for support myself. And when
you were at a position that we expect that school counselors are someone who, like the word counselor, the person is there to heal us, to guide us, and then nobody would expect that a counselor would need to get counseling or get a space where she could be understood or he could be understood.
Yes. So for me, the life-changing experience happened when I got COVID, and though I didn't require hospitalization, it was a very mild attack. That's what the doctor said. But the long-term effects were really terrible. And during that time, I was looking out for a space where I could be heard, where I could share what I was feeling, and I could also be a part of a larger group. And it was there that I came across Tribes of Women, this online platform, this space, which was known as Tribes of Women, and I joined them. I joined them first as a participant, and after some time, I moved on to being a facilitator in the group.
Okay. So, if I was to ask you that you joined Tribes of Women, you were doing well as a counselor, and then there were time, I think you did not mention it with the audience, that you actually faced the pandemic. Like there were a lot of people who actually got COVID and who were tested positive, so you were one of them, and you had to deal with it for like 11 long months, which was the post effect of that. So let's take you back to that time that you joined Tribes of Women, and because that was not something that you wanted to do it for your own self. So right now in the Tribes of Women, I have heard that you write tiny tales, right? Writing inspiring.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely true.
Inspiring stories of people, and in the tiny tales are actually very short and sweet, where people get inspired and they also get to know story of someone. So how does being a school counselor help you in writing tiny tales for people? Was it anyhow related that you were a school counselor, so you were able to do it any better sense?
I started started being more observant of how people's feelings and people's emotions. and being someone who's very creative, and likes to write, the words, would just flow into my head, and I would then, put them onto paper. And, like if somebody told me, narrated their story to me or narrated an experience to me, somehow that experience would, touch me so deeply that when I sat to think about it, the only way I found the way I could express it was through a tiny tale.
Wow. Because you were able to express it, so you thought that maybe this is something that you can also do it for other people. You can express it well.
Yes.
Wow, lovely. Okay, so there is also one thing what we usually do in this podcast. We usually take people back in their past, and we talk about that there was a time that you did this, you had an experience of this. But what we are going to do in this case is I'm going to take you to your future project, to an upcoming project which is known as Reclaim. I have heard of it from the Tribes of Women community, and it seems like it's a very good initiative by you all. And so like our audience doesn't know what is Reclaim all about. So I would like to ask you that, is it made for educators like you, or is it made for everyone? What is it all about? What is Reclaim?
Reclaim came about as a sort of from my observations. I realized that we educators, people who are in the education field, we give, and at some point of time we are always giving, and we don't realize that our cup is empty. When that point comes that my cup is empty, what do? I still continue to give, and then I reach a state of burnout. So what my observation has been is that while I am filling my cup and giving it to others, I also need to see how I can continue to fill my cup. And that comes only when I take care of myself. And I have self-compassion for myself. So self-compassion is nothing but, being kind to yourself whenever you face adversity. Very often in school, I have seen, my colleagues, and I have seen my friends. What we do is, as long as things are going right, we are perfectly fine. But the moment something goes wrong, we hold that thing that has gone wrong, and then we focus only on that. It's like the black dot on a white sheet of paper. We'll focus only on that, and we forget all the things that are going right.
Yeah.
And it is that critical voice in us, that tells us that, we have to keep on going, even though sometimes our bodies and our minds may be telling us, look, I need to stop, I need to rest. And also another observation of mine has been that women generally are a lot into, we tend to give so much of ourselves.
Yeah.
And we don't realize, when we need to stop. So Reclaim talks about getting back that space, that compassion lens for yourself. It talks about helping you to look at yourself in a more with kindness, treating yourself with kindness.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of incidences when we get to hear that women or a person, like, let's keep the gender aside, a person sometimes gets so involved in their work, looking after their family, their maybe kids, their work. They look after their work and their surroundings so much that they forget to look after themselves. So what we need to look after is that this particular thing, which is very good, which is known as Reclaim. And that's the beauty, that you can look after yourself. It's what we all need.
Yes.
If we can look after ourselves, and if we can be a part of something like Reclaim, I think that's something that can help a lot of us to start focusing on ourselves. Maybe even if you don't join any tribe or any initiative, what we can give them as a message is to look after themselves, to forget about the world for a while and just look after themselves.
Absolutely true.
Yeah. So I see that you actually talk a lot about the tiny tales that you were a school. You are a school counselor, and you managed to do both of the things. You, on one hand, you are working as a school counselor. On the other hand, you are looking after the tiny tales and these inspiring journeys of these ladies. So and bringing it to the society. How do you manage to do these two together?
I think by just focusing on the task at hand. If I have to write tiny tales, I just focus on writing tiny tales at that time. And when I'm doing my other work, I focus only on that. And I keep a book wherein I write down certain things, and I go back to it, and then I create my tiny tales from there.
Oh wow! So actually, it's like you are getting the task on hand and you start to finish it off as soon as you can, so that you don't have to bring something like to let your school counseling not disturb what you're doing in Tribes of Women. So this is how you're maintaining these two. Wow, that's lovely.
Yes.
So okay. Okay, if I was to ask you this one question, I usually ask this question with almost all my guests, that they, because whoever has been there on the show, they actually love their work so much. They keep talking about their work and their journey. So if I was to ask you, like, your journey so far, and what is that one thing that you actually like about it? So what is it going to be? Maybe what you love the most about it.
What I love the most about it is that I'm continuously evolving. The person that I was yesterday, I'm not the same person today, and that's just because probably I have been touched by the life experience of someone else. So I would say that one constant thing in my journey has been evolving.
That's lovely. Wow. Okay. So I think we should all just keep on moving, like keep growing with the flow. Maybe just don't stay still. Just keep moving with whatever is happening. It's going to be happening for good, I guess.
True.
Okay. So like I have talked about your journey, your life, and everything. So there is a part of this ritual, this podcast, that we have to come to an end, because we can because our audience time is precious, and we need to keep our conversations short and sweet. So reaching to the end of the podcast, before I part ways with you, do you have anything to say before parting ways to let our listeners inspire them?
I would tell our listeners to leave people and spaces better than we find them, because that is how we all grow, and that is how others also grow along with us.
Wow. People do grow when they try to grow other people along with themselves. So this is what you want to let our listeners know, to help other people to grow with them and to let them grow with ourselves, is it?
Yes, and to leave people and spaces better than we find them. We need to touch someone else's life. Someone else's life should become better simply because you have walked into their lives and have been a part of their life, however short the journey may be.
Okay. Yeah, never to believe in the spaces. So if I was to ask you, like, what is the concept of giving this space between people, like what do you mean by that?
What I mean is that whoever I meet, I always try and see how I can touch their lives as much as I allow them to touch my life. And that interaction, and through that interaction, I try and see that I become a better person, and probably that person tries to become better because of the interaction that we have had.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I think our audience will get to know about everything about your journey, about the inspiring thing that you have been talking about. So, what's the moral of this story before we part ways with you? Never stop believing in yourself. Hope is something that makes miracles happen every day. Keep shining, keep living for other people. On that note, I would like to end this episode of the Changemakers of Mentogram. Stay tuned for more such inspiring stories until the next episode. I am your host, Pratiksha.